Hello, everybody. Welcome back to America's Grandmasters Playoffs. I'm TJ, joined by Soddle, and we have the pleasure of bringing you the winners match for this playoffs group. It's Dog versus Eddie, and we were talking during the break a little bit about Eddie's performance in the last game, and you were my practice partner yesterday.
I was.
Holy Wrath Paladin.
Yeah, and I think you did an awesome job on the car, so it's very nice to see all that practice paying off.
I know. I learned things by getting crushed by you over and over again, and having a 4-bomb in a row outer against you. It's the only game I won.
Dude, it was nice. You're actually my demon. I just can't seem to beat you in anything that matters, but like practice matches, yeah, it's fine. No big deal.
Yeah. But I'll draw the nuts when it matters.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned about myself over the years of playing Hearthstone. But let's start talking about this next match, Eddie versus Dog. It's Holy Wrath Paladin versus Rogue. And for once, Dog decided to deviate. For a while, he's been kind of following Frozen. They've been practicing together, teammates on Team Liquid, both at the top of their divisions. But did not bring the Pogo Rogue like Frozen this week. Opted to go for just a pretty standard tempo-ish Rogue.
Yeah.
Which we'll see how it fares off. What do you think of this deck? Fairy Dragon main deck? Yay?
I'm on board with it, honestly. I think it's something that I wish we'd seen more of developing through Season 1 is, players making a couple of percentage point sacrifices in their primary deck to give them more options to get, like, complete coverage overall, right? So, like, Fairy Dragon, I want to have it against Mage, not so much against some other matchups, but I'll put it in there because I have this restriction of 5 cards. That's all I'm allowed to change, so I need to kind of, like, make considerations further down the road. But, yeah, as you mentioned, Frozen, who is a teammate, practice partner, good friend of Dog, has gone with the Pogo Rogue here. And I know I've definitely had that experience of, like, prepping for tournaments, having a practice group, having a team, whatever it is. And there's that one guy on the team that's like, hey, this X off-meta deck is the nuts, dude. Like, you have to bring this. And you just, like, pat him on the head and, like, yeah, all right, buddy. Like, I'm sure. You keep playing with your little Pogo Hoppers. But honestly, like, I'm kind of on Frozen's side with this one. I love Pogo Hopper Rogue, and I think it's a very powerful deck, but it is a risk for sure because it's unproven. It's not, the consensus strong deck, whereas this version of Rogue is.
Yeah, it's also Pogo Hopper Rogue does have some different iterations. It plays a little bit differently, and maybe Dog just feels more comfortable on this traditional version of Rogue. So a lot of things could play into it, but it does come down to this. Granted, nobody has been eliminated yet. Purple, if you're a Purple fan out there, he's still got a chance. He will play against the loser of this match to decide who moves forward as the second spot, but the winner of this match moves directly to the semifinals. And I'm sure Dog, who's had a great season, sees his teammate Frozen already in the semifinals, wants to make it there. But on the other hand, Eddie, kind of one of the surprise performers from Americas, because not a lot of people know him, and even the people that didn't even recognize him as Eddie because he changed his name coming into Grandmasters. So one of the, I guess I could call him an underdog, not for his play, but just for his recognition. But he's been playing pretty on point so far.
Yeah, and this is dangerous ground for me to walk into, as we know. Shout out to Muzzy, but Eddie last year and the year before certainly seemed like a player who struggled with nerves when he was on camera. He seemed to, like, crush it through all these off-camera games, like the early rounds in playoffs, for example. And then it would get to the point where, like, he's done insanely well, so he gets on camera, and then we're kind of sat there like, we don't really agree with a lot of these plays that are going on. Like, what's happening? But this year, for sure, just consistent experience with being on camera week after week after week. He's looked so solid throughout all of America.
Yeah, it didn't make sense because you looked at him and you're like, wow, Sehun's doing fantastic this tournament. And then every time you watched him play, for like the first 6 months to a year of his career, you're like, how is he winning? But has just being on camera for 8 weeks now of Grandmasters certainly has helped. Still has those times of flutter, but definitely a much different Eddie from a year ago. But getting into it, Eddie, True Silver champion against pretty much any deck that relies on tempo or aggression, as Holy Wrath Paladin is priority number 1.
It's just such a good card still. In current year, 2019, True Silver Champion still carrying Paladin through tough spots. Like,
I mean, I don't think it's ever not been good.
Right. There's been points where, like, the type of Paladin that would play True Silver Champion has just been garbage because, like, there was like 0 of the 28 other cards that you'd like to play to go in the deck.
Or the type of Paladin that didn't play True Silver Champion couldn't play True Silver Champion, like Odd Paladin.
Right. I mean, there were times where people deliberately had the choice and played like Rallying Blade over True Silver, because it was like a 2-mana 2/3 heavy meta, and that worked out a lot better. But yeah, you look at some of the matchups. Rogue, like you equip it, you kill a Blink Fox, you kill a Henge Clan Burglar. Exactly what's happened here. Like that's the dream scenario, but it's also one of the most common scenarios that you come into. And then like Beast Hunter, for example, Animal Companion. You don't have the True Silver Champion, you're dead. Like the game actually ends at that point.
I hope you like my invention.
But speaking of this matchup holistically, it can be tough for the Paladin, just because even like reasonably small boards are still incredibly threatening because the damage adds up and Rogue has a lot of burst damage from hand. So you do have to mind your life total, and you have to try and be able to play around certain breakpoints, and Rogue is the deck where it feels like it takes you the longest to cycle through your deck. And maybe that doesn't even mean you actually are taking longer to cycle through your deck. It just feels like you are, because they're presenting like a reasonably sized minion every turn.
Right. There are very few turns where you just get to go like Christology, Prismatic Lens. That's my turn. Go.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't happen.
All right.
Enough.
Take 8.
Right.
All right. You shrink raid my 10/10 Edwin. Take 6. Maybe not. I think Henge Clan Burglar is probably better here.
I take this.
Oh, I guess Powered Shield has to be the best here.
Yeah.
Unless you just really want boom
I
shit.
hope you like my invention.
He does have a High Spear and Togwaggle in the deck.
Oh,
He could goblet some Leroys.
sure.
I'm just thinking outside the box here. Alternative win condition. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Not for Eddie. No such thing.
Pyro looking like it's going to come in pretty clutch, if not this turn, then very soon. Pyro Consecration would be kind of the dream this turn. Just end up buying so much time, sorry.
Also, Timeout is an interesting card in this matchup because you can effectively force more resources out of your opponents when you know you're going to board clear.
Yeah.
It's not the case where... well, sometimes it is the case, but not often is it the case where you have to save timeouts until right before you're about to go on the combo.
Absolutely.
If you just keep their board clear and use timeout to bait out more resources, force the rogue to extend further onto the board, then that can often gain you more life than it would if you had saved it until the end of the game.
Yeah, I think when Timeout first got released, people were like, "Oh, it's Ice Block." But I think in some ways, like it's a lot more flexible than Ice Block is, and I'm sure this is gonna cause Admirable to start making fun of me at some point. But like some turns, yeah, it's Ice Block, but some turns it's also Frost Nova. Like that's what makes it so powerful, because you can just say this board of minions does not get to attack me next turn.
Yeah. It's like if Mage could roll Ice Barrier and Ice Block into the same card, nobody would play anything but Mage. Or sorry, Frost Nova in Ice Block. Dog does have a lot of damage in hand right now. Is missing a Shadow Step. He used it earlier to get that big edge off. But still has a copy of it in the deck. Whew.
Book of Spectres, when you find it in Rogue, is generally pretty darn powerful. It's an extremely minion-heavy deck these days, now that things like Preparation and so on have fallen by the wayside. People aren't playing fans and shivs and all that kind of nonsense.
There's only 7 spells in the whole deck.
Too soon.
They're impactful, but there's only 7 of them. Big to note, a smart hold on the Power Word Shield on the turn that Dog picked it up. I think me and many other players, even a few on Grandmasters, have dumped their non-class card before Vendetta. It has happened. I can think of 2 instances in my head.
In Americas, maybe. Jeez. Cast a real region.
I did.
Ah, okay.
This morning, it was great.
Yeah.
How about this? Cast a diverse region when it comes to decks.
All right, yeah, I'll hold that.
How many Holy Wrath Paladins have you had in Europe?
None since I've been here. Have we had any before that?
I don't remember. You have had some Nomi priests, though. We haven't had any of those.
Yeah.
But come on.
It has been interesting to me, the differences just in trends. Like, you guys are just so much more warrior heavy than us as well, like on top of that.
Yeah, we were actually the least diverse region up until the playoffs, so I can't really talk.
Let's move quickly.
I'm gonna shut up now.
Only took like 4 years.
Guess what? I lied.
I
Yikes.
like my invention.
Yeah, this is not good. Still 14 cards left in Eddie's deck, and Dog with just Waggle Pick and Leroy has 20 damage over 2 turns. Now, timeouts will complicate that.
Yep.
But it's not like that damage combo is going anywhere.
Right. And it's not like, you know, sometimes when you're playing Mage against Rogue, you're able to stall out that combo for a couple of turns, and then that allows you to set up something huge, like a big wall of 7-8 taunts. Like, no, Eddie, like, you run out of protective resources with Paladin. Like, if you're doing this when you're still 14 cards away from the bottom of your deck, as you are in Eddie's position, you're going to run out of ways to stop this onslaught coming very soon.
Yeah, Prismatic Lens looks quite expensive when you look at it from this position.
Yep.
Against Warrior, sure, just chuck them out. Who cares? I got all the time in the world.
Too
Die.
soon.
Rush Lackey over the Evolve in that position?
Double time and double pay.
I mean, you get to clear off the 1/1, and it puts a similar amount of power on board as evolving.
Puts +2/+1 on board, which would, like, what would that equate to? A 3/5 off the Evolve? Yeah, alright, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
So it's like average same amount of power, but you kill a 1/1.
And now Eddie going through the ritual of the combo player, which is looking at a seemingly just completely dead game and trying to find your 0.5% out to get out of this game.
Think.
This does seem to be where Eddie thrives. He was known as a combo deck player throughout, like, Dream Hacks in previous years, and then last year throughout Tour Stops. Combo and Control was the name of the game for Eddie.
Move quickly.
Not so
Let
much
me
Warrior.
think.
He was mostly the guy that tried to beat the Warriors.
Right.
Which turned out to be much different throughout the Grandmasters.
Timeout, and the fact that he's now picked up a Flash of Light alongside Kangor in hand maybe gives him some hope.
Yeah, he actually can go Crystal Smith Kangor Ziliak's Flash Flight next turn for 14 health gain, which he's hoping buys him time to get to either a board clear or a second timeout. And then from Doc's position, it's about, well, all right, what do I do here? Do I try and
So many options.
remax my board with pressure and play further into removal?
Well, I think you do, right? Because your opponent cannot rip a big, like a quality-based board clear or shrink rate-based board clear and heal for huge amounts of health
Yeah.
at the same time.
I
So I think just
wonder.
full alpha this turn, just make the biggest board. Just pressure as hard as you can, just makes sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, he doesn't really have like
Too
huge
soon.
pressure minions available to him anyway. Ziliax is like his most pressure right now.
Yeah, Acidic Swamp is...
Yeah. Get him, buddy. I guess there's also a downside of just more minions you have on board, the less likely you are to hit damage off your Waggle Pick pickup as well, which can end up being relevant.
Yeah. But then by forcing removal, by having a bigger board, you increase the chances of getting Leroy from your Waggle Pick.
Wait, oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
I wonder.
by decreasing your chances to get Leroy from Waggle Pick, you increase your chances
Right.
to get Leroy.
Well, yeah. So you create two worlds. One where it doesn't matter because you just have so much damage on board
Yeah.
because you've made a big board, and then if that board gets cleared, then you're down to just, Leroy on an empty board.
Yeah. I think I explained that
wonder.
way better than you, though.
I mean, we'll take a poll.
The light bends to my
Such a huge heal, but the fact that it's not fully addressing the board state does mean that a lot of that damage is coming straight back, especially because there is backstab available from Dog, but you have to question about whether there could be extra pressure in play right now just facing this down.
Yeah. Like, for example, let's say he just plays Ziliax.
Yep.
Eddie wouldn't be able to gain lifesteal from his own Ziliax because he'd be attacking into a Divine Shield.
Right.
Um,
You'd have backstab to take care of the other target as well, so that's not picking up as much lifesteal as it could. And
Yep.
you'd have already spent 5 on doing that this turn, which means you'd have the Ziliax in play and have 3 mana available to play your Dogwag.
yeah.
Shark Step, Blink Fox. Shadow Step is kind of useful because it's another source of non-minion damage to deal with the Kangol.
Whew. Avenging Wrath a lot of times this match does 8 damage to face. That's way better than so there's Shivala. Shivala is a card that can be used early on in this matchup with a shuffle. You usually only need the one Holy Wrath combo.
Yeah.
Does still have to worry about Ziliax plus Life Drinker, though. There is only one copy of Life Drinker in the deck, but if Eddie finds himself in a position where he's like relying on one last swing of True Silver,
Right.
and the Holy Wrath, and he uses the first piece of his combo.
With 0-cost cards in hand as well, the longer time goes on, the longer he'll be fearful of, various things that those are. If it's 0 mana Shark or 0 mana Life Drinker, that then ups the amount that Dog can burst heal with as well. Which, going back to the term we're debating over, that might be something that Dog's considering, the utility of just how long can he hold on without having to use Ziliax, so he still has that option available to him.
Yeah, it's a balance, right, of pressure and making sure that you give yourself win conditions against different lines of play from your opponent.
So crossing over again from Eddie. This is a much more awkward looking turn than the last one.
Yes.
So
Because if
many
you look at the way he
options.
played the last turn where he was in this position, the last timeout turn,
Right.
he doesn't want to use Ooze because he wants to save that for the True Silver Champion to try and heal out a range of Holy Wrath if he uses one first. Ziliax for the same reason. Spirit of the Shark for the same reason.
So many
And
options.
doesn't want to play Leroy, doesn't want to swing with this Waggle Pick. Can't swing with this Waggle Pick.
Nope.
Evil Cable Rat fills up his hand again. He's back in the same position.
Second Waggle Pick is incredibly wasteful and just makes his board smaller. Avenging Wrath does nothing this turn. Okay, I mean, that's a way to achieve getting something done at least. He discounted his Leroy this turn instead of doing exactly nothing.
Yeah, so this allows him the opportunity to Leroy Waggle Pick Leroy. Wait, does this open up anything without the second Shadow Step? Because normally this would allow you to go Leroy Waggle Pick, Leroy Shadow Step Leroy.
It means he can go like Leroy Avenging Wrath in a turn where he's not guaranteed to bounce back with Leroy anyway, if that ends up being more damage.
Ah, true.
Let me think.
Leroy Life Drinker as well. It's a possibility.
Yep.
Let me think.
Music is very fitting for the how tense this match is.
I think it definitely like oversold how dire Eddie's position was. Though. It was just a simple matter of, you know, one efficient healing card coming out. Like a lot of things, of course, could have gone wrong. He could have ended up getting a flashlight that was way too expensive. He could have ended up not hitting a healing card in the next couple of draws by the way. You know, those kind of positions put him in trouble.
Wow.
Eddie just taking tempo. So with one Baleful Banker, one Shuffle used, essentially, even though a Holy Wrath was used earlier,
Yep.
he can now, it's still, well, I guess beforehand he could only really activate it once because he'd used the Holy Wrath, but using a Shuffle takes away possibilities as well.
Yeah, Eddie reeling back at the side of the zero-cost Spear of the Shark. Dog has to figure out the best way to remove the Shirvala from the board. Most likely with lackeys this turn.
Yep.
Really the only way he can deal with it. Avenging Wrath is not something that he wants to have to rely on. So finds Kobold Lackey, Ethereal Lackey. Still has a lot of mana to be able to do things.
Yeah, he can still drop Ziliax alongside that if he desperately just needs that 7/5 off the board, but as we've talked about, that is a very useful tool just for security in the late game, especially when Eddie has knocked away his opportunity to do the double combo.
He could go for Kobold Lackey Avenging Wrath. Yeah, this is...
Yeah,
Shirvala is the priority target.
Right, I'm pretty sure you do it this way, right? Because even if you're Avenging Wrath first, like, there's no way you bail out from that point if you don't get the 4 on the Shirvala, so there's no upside to doing it that way.
Yep.
Alright, perfect.
Yeah, and importantly, neutralizes the healing from the first Shirvala, knowing that it was going to come out, so... nicely done by Dog. Getting comfy. I need a blanket.
I was going to say, 3 cards left. Very little damage represented on board from Dog's side. Is it time for Eddie to just start shipping damage face?
This is kind of scary.
It is. No life drinkers seen yet for Eddie, I believe, but there's only a single copy in the deck to begin with.
Yeah.
Knows that there's Ziliax to contend with as well, but Ziliax will not heal immediately as long as he doesn't put minions onto the board.
Which he can put minions on the board with Leroy. So he can use...
Oh, good point, good point. Yep.
He can use Leroy as a way to guarantee Ziliax. But at this point, with one Choose Over Champion swing, Ziliax by itself is not enough.
Right.
So Dog kind of needs this life drinker.
Do it. Okay. I just really enjoy Elven Archering people in the face.
Yeah.
I just wanted to assert dominance.
From nothing. Power.
Wait, Shadow Step? 3 Leroys? 18, 22, 23, 24, that's me. If he gets the Leroy back.
1 and 5?
Yep.
What about with Kobold Lackey? It's 1 off?
Power.
Well, now it's very unlikely that he gets it.
Choose soon.
Head cracking. Or do you just go for it?
Well, he
Wants to ooze.
Yeah, he wants to ooze this turn to be safe.
I guess Ziliax serves the same purpose. But Elven Archer plus Consecration neutralizes Ziliax.
Yeah. But this isn't the final draw for Eddie, depending on what this last card is.
But Eddie could take a 50-50. Ho ho! What's the last card left in his deck?
Consecration.
It's time to test your metal.
Yep. Okay. Going for the 50-50.
I think that camera
Nailed
tells you
it.
all you need to know. Shivala off the top takes a 1-0 lead for Eddie. Pretty sure Dog did have a 1 in 5 lethal of his own after that Shadow Step was found off the Ethereal Lackey. Chose not to go for it, chose to try and set himself up into the best 2-turn position instead, which is a judgment call kind of thing, something that I'd have to sit down and stop talking and think about for a long time to give you a definitive answer on.
Yeah. There's a lot of outcomes from that turn. That Dog, he may have been able to narrow it down to like a 1 in 3. I guess it depended on what lackeys he picked up. If he had 6 minions on the board, if he had played Leroy, if he had bounced back the second Kobold lackey, would that have been enough? I don't think so. Because he also had a head crack in hand.
If he bounces back Ethereal Lackey, he can play it again for 0, and then he gets rebuys to like do the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. It felt like Eddie was behind that whole game, and it also felt like Dog kind of played to an out that wasn't guaranteed instead of maximizing his ability to win with what he knew he had.
Right.
Like playing the Ziliax on that one turn to put additional pressure to stop Eddie from having a
I will
turn.
fight.
Granted, we
with
saw the
honor.
outcome of that turn, where it was Crystal the King or Flash the Light Ziliax.
Worst possible scenario.
Worst possible scenario, but if you play more minions onto that board, maybe he doesn't have the luxury of being able to do that, or maybe he can swing back.
Yeah.
There's so many decisions that Dog made in that game that we can go back and look at. What if he had done this? What if he had done that? Where Eddie just seemed to just make the play that helped him survive, which you mentioned it, like a handful of stuff that doesn't really do anything and try and find a way to win.
Right.
And Eddie did.
Yeah.
He bought himself enough time, and Dog didn't put on enough pressure and had that waggle pick for so long.
Crystology on 1 gamer. This is where you want to be. Eddie looks like he's taking manual notes as well. Of course, the players are allowed to use deck tracking software if they would like to in Hearthstone Grandmasters. Looks like Eddie's using good old-fashioned pen and paper as well.
Yeah. Sometimes just seeing it in your own handwriting drives the point home a little bit more. Unless you have terrible handwriting and you don't even realize what you did, or you forget something. I know from personal experience, I have very good handwriting, but I forget things a lot. Yeah, I know I do forget things a lot.
You do both of those things. I was shocked. Like, you do not strike me as the kind of person that's supposed to have really nice handwriting. You're kind of a sloppy mess. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah? Like, if you really need it spelled out.
I was thinking to myself, are you stereotyping me?
Yes.
Big, giant, sloppy messes don't have good handwriting? That's some kind of...
Yes.
Yeah.
There's that card again.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Again, what did I say? This is the worst possible scenario, the one where you really need True Silver, but it's also one of the most common. Link Fox into Henge Clan Burglar. Like, what do you do as the Paladin if you don't have the True Silver against that curve? Like, you just die.
You die.
Yeah.
You wait for Wild Pyromancer plus Consecration.
You coin Hammer of Wrath for 3/3 and then just hope they don't have the 4/3? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is the hand from Eddie. Dog, meanwhile, did pick up Mortal Strike from Henge Clan Burglar, which could be relevant burst damage later on in the game, but also picked up Dragon Speaker, which is a 5-mana 3/3 battle cry. Pretty much do nothing. It's give the dragons in your hand +3/+3. Last time I checked, Dog ain't got no dragons. Oh, sorry, it's 3-mana 3/5. 5-mana 3/5. Better than I thought.
So it feels like the first turn for Eddie that hasn't just necessarily played itself this game.
I hope you like my invention.
I guess that makes sense.
Shot.
Oh, the Elven Archer. Ooh, coming in clutch.
Dude, it's one of my favorite things about this deck that there's just an Elven Archer in it. Like, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, is this really, like, smart? Is it optimal? And I'm like, you know what? Nah, I don't care. Like, it's funny.
It is
there.
smart and
I like my
optimal.
invention.
It allows you to deal with things a turn earlier than you'd normally be able to deal with them.
Yes.
Like
It
a
allow-
giant, you can deal with it on 5 with equality plus Elven Archer.
It allows you to genuinely OTK by True Silver being equipped.
Yep.
And then 25 from Holy Wrath, and then Elven Archer for 1, which is important against decks that can heal.
It's an easy card to dump. It's a card that you get from
I hope you
Christology
like my
that's 1
invention.
mana that you can dump from your hand easily in matchups where you just want to draw as fast as possible and play as cards to get them out of your hand.
And that's the thing, right? Because this card, this Elven Archer, used to be a Bloodsail Corsair, right? Like, when every rogue was Raiding Party rogue, it was Bloodsail Corsair because you drew Bloodsail Corsair off your Christology and you blew up their Waggle pick, and that helps you win the game. When you don't need that card anymore, which obviously somewhat ironic to say when we're in a matchup against rogue playing Waggle pick, then you start looking for other 1-attack minions to go in your deck, and Elven Archer is kind of just the best fit.
I wonder if you ever like secondary deck a Bloodsail Corsair.
That's one of the things I was looking at actually going into this matchup after Eddie won, and I was just sort of doing last minute coverage. Like, that thought occurred to me as well. It's like, I wonder whether it is ever worth having an anti-rogue deck with Paladin.
Because any secondary deck runs cuts Baleful
me
Banker, Holy Wrath, Ziliax, so gets rid of one half, like the second half of the combo, and adds Acolyte of Pain, Equality, and Hammer Wrath.
Yeah.
I would guess that's for Mage, but I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I was kind of confused by it as well.
Let me
And I don't think he's playing it here. No, he's not, because
Nope.
he has 2 Holy Wraths in his hand.
Yeah, they both stuck primary.
Yeah, which means, like, what's it for? I don't know. Nobody knows.
Let's move quickly.
Eddie knows. Eddie's practicing. There's a lot of people that know. But I don't.
We've seen this kind of situation multiple times. You mentioned it. Another upside of Elven Archer, while we're extolling the virtues of that card, is that it's something you can just play, and we see that same kind of thing here where he's like, geez, hand is getting full, like just throws out a Pyromancer onto the board for a little bit of tempo, but mostly just to get it out of the hand. I think we saw against Purple, I think game 1 near the start was the portion of the game where Eddie looked like he was in the most trouble, because he just drew like Holy Wrath, Shivala, Baleful Banker, like top 10 to 12 cards. So he just had all those cards stuck in his hand. You can see this look on his face, like, I actually can't play a card this turn. Like, what am I supposed to do?
I can't even.
Yeah.
And when you can't even, you don't. Now the Tempo Ziliax. This game, not really much of a choice. Dog's Hand doesn't have much going for it. It's all damage and utility. And unfortunately, right now, that's not working in his favor.
No.
Later on in the game, it can definitely do it. If he can piece together some of those big damage hands, picks up a Waggle pick, picks up a Shadow Step, all of a sudden he's cooking. But until that point, it's about just trying to get any pressure that he can on the board to force Eddie to deviate from, I'm just going to draw cards.
Yeah, I think now with this draw of Shivala already, that Eddie might take some time where it's not like, I don't necessarily need to draw cards, I need to cast some spells that cost a lot of stuff, because he needs to get the Shivala cost down to the point where he's able to make a big, huge tempo swing with it.
Yep.
And he has, you know, Holy Wrath, double Holy Wrath Shrink Ray in his hand, throws out a Consecration, which seemed like the most appropriate card for the board state that turn.
Now, one thing we didn't talk about in the previous game was the sap in Dog's deck. I don't know if that's weighing into Eddie's decision-making at all, but there is a chance that Dog could force him to overdraw with sap. Because that's one card in your hand that you're not necessarily accounting for.
Was it Race? Is that who it happened to?
It was
in
Monsanto versus Race.
And it was Monsanto sapping Race's minion. Right?
He double sapped.
Yeah.
And Ray said he was playing around it the whole game.
Yeah.
Finally found a situation where he couldn't play around it.
Couldn't play around double sap.
Couldn't play around
Burning
double
one card as well, right? It was
Yeah,
a singular
one
card.
card with
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it was like 12 cards left in the deck at that point.
And then he got Sinterlolled real hard.
Yeah, except we don't play that clip over and over again. And
good
it
point.
looks like Dog might be going for that plan.
Yep.
Now, we can see that he already has Shrivala, Holy Wrath plus Baleful Banker. You usually only need one combo. There's not a card that he's super unhappy to burn. Maybe Timeout, I think, would be one of them. I guess second Baleful Banker as well, because then he wouldn't be able to play the Shrivala as healing first.
Yep.
My hand is too full.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, not a huge deal. Small deal.
Small deal. It matters. It's a little bit of clearing power that can't go down, while Pyro sometimes comes in pretty clutch in the matchup just to, you know, take care of a post-evil Miscreant board where there's just kind of lackeys everywhere on the board.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Let me think.
Holy Wrath is Ziliax? Nope. And double flash. Kind of just want to get 5 spent on one of these 5-cost spells.
Yeah.
Guess it would be technically more efficient if he was to go Flash Prismatic, but like overdraws him at this point anyway, so not an option.
Is it not an option? He's got everything he needs.
Oh, that's true. He just picked up Banker number 2, so I guess that's fair. Yeah, I guess he could have done it.
Maybe he would like some utility. Like timeouts, a little bit of additional board removal.
I think this is the same kind of situation where he's saying to Dog, yeah, go ahead, overdraw me if you want, because I think Eddie's pretty comfortable right now. 7 cards remaining, card draw in play, card draw in hand, 1 timeout in hand, Shrivala in hand to heal at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Like, I think he feels like he can just race the draw timer at this point. And honestly, I don't think he's wrong.
No, I am struggling to see a pan out where Dog wins in this game with how much time he's given Eddie so far. And now, with Eddie having all the resources in his hand, he's happy to see Dog.
Oh, I was gonna say, okay, that world where Dog wins starts with the timeout being burned.
Yeah.
Like, it has to start with that, because this is now 2 entire turns out of only 5 that he needs to live, where he's guaranteed to live, 100% guaranteed to live.
Yep, and he only needs a few more.
Yep.
Honestly.
Eddie reacting to something, not quite sure what.
I wanted that equality.
I know, it's like, I don't know.
It was important to me.
I wonder.
Eddie is one of those players who has the "my opponent has cards" reaction.
I hate it when my opponent has cards.
Yeah. See? That's the start of something great. The way I see Dog winning this is Spear the Shark plus Life Drinker buying him enough time.
Sure.
This is the second Truce over. There's only 1 Consecration left in the deck. There's no Elven Archer. He's used the 1 copy of Hammerfast, so his direct damage is limited to getting in minion damage, which could happen with Shrivala. It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Or getting this Truce over damage in and it's sticking. In fact, with both Shrivala, Baleful Banker, and Holy Wrath, if you have an option to go for lethal, you're probably taking it. Honestly, I would just go for it right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm almost out of cards.
I guess if he can Prismatic Lens, no, I'm not feeling it. He still has double Holy Wrath, double Banker, Shrivala in his hand.
I guess the double timeout, yeah.
So even after the first Holy Wrath, he can time out. right? So
Sure.
he can Holy Wrath Baleful Bank a timeout, deal
No,
25.
you're absolutely right.
Dog is not healing 20. I don't care how many life drinkers he has. Like,
No,
at
you're
that
right.
point, you just do the second one and the game ends.
Yeah. No, you're right. This is a guaranteed lethal setup for Eddie. Unless something crazy happens from randomly generated spells.
Like, a timeout.
He would need a timeout.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen. Well, it may happen, but not right now. So Eddie next turn will have 0 cards left in his deck. Will Shivala, Baleful Banker, Holy Wrath heal himself up back up to full. Put Dog down to... Dog has the life trigger now.
Also, yes. Yeah, while we're busy working out how Dog can't survive over 2 turns, yeah, he has to life drinker just to survive over 1 right now.
Yeah, and he knows that. He sees 1 card left in his opponent's deck.
many
He knows that his
options.
burns weren't impactful to the combo. So build as big of a board as possible and play life drinker.
Sweet.
Choose soon.
It's just a 100% loss condition, though, isn't it? Like, based on what you know the remaining cards are. Like, all of the...
Oh, he can bounce the acidic swamp. No, he
Right,
can't.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, he can
Yeah,
with the dagger.
He can with the dagger up. Okay, yes. But then he doesn't replay it, so he's dead. 100% of the time. No,
He
doesn't
replays it
replay
because it costs 0.
Fine,
All right,
fine.
so
So that's what I'm talking about. He found a play that does not lose 100% of the time, which is definitely better than anything that we were suggesting, which all lost 100% of the time.
life drinker lost 100% of the time?
Yes.
Okay, but how does...
Because that's his only life drinker. So he can't heal past that point anyway, so he doesn't find any outs.
Okay, but I don't see how even this point that he finds enough outs anyway to win.
Sure. But at least this way he finds the additional turn where, you know, he can find his Henchman Burglar into timeout or whatever the nonsense is that he needs to win this game.
And then he also has to kill the Shivala.
Yes. Well, he has a Spirit of Shark on the board, which is also key to the equation, right? Because he needs more than one random nonsense answer.
So
at
the
start
Spirit of the
game.
Shark was the key.
Yes.
Not okay. Spirit of the Shark and surviving. That was the key.
I mean, feel free to ignore everything we said, because he's just super dead. Like, it's not happening.
He can gain so much life here. Well, he can go up to 13.
Yeah.
Dog is dead.
Yep. He will take as much time as he darn well pleases to confirm that himself, though.
Mm-hmm. Shake your head all you want.
At this point, it's just hoping that you miscounted something, that a card got played that you don't remember seeing, and your deck tracker also bugged out, and like some absolute nonsense is happening because you are dead.
He can't even be hoping that Eddie cues his secondary deck. While he hasn't seen second Baleful Banker Holy Wrath, he saw the Ziliax burn.
Okay,
so
yeah,
he knows that
yeah.
he's playing primary.
It's a good thing to bring up, though.
Yeah. Eddie looking for the BM. He's like, is this BM?
Wait, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Nah, can't do it.
Wasn't lethal.
All right. Well, Eddie takes the series 2-0, moves on to the semifinals. A nice performance by him, 2-0 back-to-back with Holy Wrath Paladin over 2 very different and very difficult matchups. 2 of the hardest matchups
And
for
that's,
Holy Wrath Paladin.
honestly, it's kind of what we hope to see from specialists, right? Like
Yeah.
people finding weird decks that could come in on a week-by-week basis and really throw a curveball into things.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, maybe the one thing we'd have wished is that those decks would have performed better. Like when the Nomi Priest came in, it just kind of got dumpstered and we laughed at it. So like it's nice to see it all the way at the end now, to see the Holy Wrath Paladin coming in and just really, really kicking in clutch where it mattered.
And now if Eddie wins the whole thing with Holy Wrath Paladin, players are going to be thinking to themselves, could we have done different things? Could we have brought different decks throughout the
Well,
7 weeks of the regular season?
I think Viper said on Twitter, right, that if he had made it to playoffs based on like how generic the submissions was, he felt like he would have had a free win through to BlizzCon.
Yeah. But very interesting to think about. But it looks like now we are joined by Eddie for an interview after his win. Eddie, can you hear us?
Yeah, how are you guys doing?
Hey, man, doing well. First off, congratulations. A couple of a nice 2-0s. Coming into this week, why the Holy Wrath Paladin? What made you decide to bring that to playoffs?
Um, Primarily, it's just because mage is very, very strong right now. And as you see last week, my mage, I can't pilot it well, so I might as well go for counter it. And I feel like it's not as bad as people think against rogue or warrior. Warrior is pretty tricky, but sometimes you can get there with your side deck. But overall, I think it's just a very solid deck, and I feel pretty comfortable playing it.
Well, you said because Mage is a powerful deck, but you ended up in a group with a Warrior and a Rogue. How did you feel once you saw the deck reveal earlier this week, knowing that the main deck that you're trying to counter wasn't even in your group?
Um, I slightly expected it. I put Dog would be Rogue because he's been crushing it. He has like I don't know, he won like 7 out of his 8 GM games with Rogue, I think. And Purple is pretty tricky. His best deck was Bomb Warrior, so it was there was a decent chance he would bring it again. But right now Warrior is not in a good shape because how strong Mage is. Like as you can see in the field, like 18 players total, there's only one Warrior. So you can see that Warrior kind of faded out. So I was hoping him go for Mage instead of Warrior, which didn't happen, but luckily he still got the win.
So when you were queuing up against Purple early on in the first match, like what would you rate your chances at going into that series? Because TJ and I practiced it a ton just for preparation, and we kind of agree with what you said earlier that like I think people's projected win rate of Bomb Warrior is kind of inflated in that matchup. Like Paladin seems okay.
I think it's probably like 30%, I would say. Purple played that series very well. He knew how to utilize his removals. Like he coined Warpath 3 times just to not let my Zelia stick. Like some people don't do that, and when you get enough early damage with your minions as Paladin, it's way easier to get 50 damage because your only win condition is 50 damage, right? And Warrior is one of the few classes that can counter that very like his class just has armor, so it's very. And when I was tracking his cards, like I knew he had Ziliax and stuff, and he was trying to stick minions, so I had to do math, and of course I got pretty lucky at the end. He didn't play Dr. Bloom on 7 in this game. I think it was very good. A lot of people would just jam it, and on average two armor every turn is more stable than trying to high roll 7 armor. And at any point after Dr. Boom, if he got 7 armor, I would just lost the game. So it was I think he played that very well. But yeah, I think some luck got to me, and I drew my deck reasonably at speed, so I wasn't too behind on board.
All right. Well, looking forward to tomorrow in the semifinals. Things are going to be shaken up a bit because we're moving to best of 5. How much do you think that plays into like your thought process and your confidence going in? Like, do you feel like you're in a good spot heading into tomorrow?
Semi-final, I think definitely. I think I'm playing against PNC, which he brought Mage, and as a best of 5, I think that it just reduced a lot of variance, though that's really good for me. I think I should be able to take that series, and final we'll see. But yeah, final we don't know yet. Like the other side, I mean. But yeah, looking forward to play against PNC. Very strong player, and I went 0-2 in GM against him in the same group, so definitely wants to get the revenge.
Yeah, I mean, his wins over you because of how high up you were in the standings helped him qualify for playoffs through tiebreakers. So should be a fun series to watch. I'm looking forward to that as well. But Eddie, congratulations on the win. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a great time.
Yeah, I like the Holy Wrath Paladin. It feels much better than I thought it was after seeing it in the week 2 or week 3, whichever week we saw it in Grandmasters. Like, it felt like it struggled a lot more there. Granted, it could be small sample size, could be a lot of things.
Right.
Maybe it's the pilot. Maybe Eddie just has a mastery of the deck leading into playoffs. He put more prep in, but I don't know. He might be able to take it all the way.
It's always a deck where, I think combo decks are kind of like this, but the deck has always had its advocates. I know Meaty, like one of the best players from the UK, has always tweeted a lot about the deck. And when the Christology buff was announced, he was like, well, like Holy Wrath Paladin is just the best deck in the game now. Like it has to be. Like there's no way. Like Christology or 1 mana, like a deck that includes that card has to work. Like somewhere
it has to be
somewhere
at least
along the
somewhat good.
1 mana draw 2. Like, are you kidding me?
Draw two cards from your deck, but draw 2 curated cards from your deck.
Draw 2 snowballing card draw cards because like you then get your Novice Engineer on 2 and like your whole curve works just if you mulligan for this 1 mana card. It's ridiculous. I'm a big fan of the deck. I've played a good chunk of it. It's definitely super high skill ceiling, and it's a skill ceiling that I'm nowhere near yet, but I can definitely see the potential in it where it's one of those decks where I felt like, if I knew this deck inside out, I just never lose a game of Hearthstone, you know?
Or Pogo Hopper kind of feels similar to that.
Right, yeah.
But still an interesting deck to watch. And just to clarify on my point earlier, I think we've been making a mistake on the broadcast. The semifinals is best of 3.
Just you, bud. The rest of us got it right.
Just me, I guess. I could have sworn I heard you and Dan specifically talking about it yesterday.
Nope.
But it is best of 3. It's just finals that are best of 5.
Correct.
But that could still change things. As he said, reduce a lot of variance in the finals, but should be interesting to see. But we have one more match to go today and one more spot in the semifinals. It's going to be a match between Dog and Purple for that final spot in the semifinals tomorrow. So don't go anywhere. More Grandmasters action right after this.